The key slid into the lock with familiar resistance. I knew the exact angle needed, a slight tilt to the left, then push and turn. 6 months of coming home to find Megan sprawled on my couch had taught me to enter my own apartment with resignation rather than surprise. Today she was painting her toenails a bright coral, the pungent smell greeting me before she did. "Hey," Megan said, not looking up. "There's no more hot water." I set my laptop bag down, counting backward from 10. "Again? You know I have to work early tomorrow." She shrugged, her dark hair falling across her face. "Mom called. She wants to know if you're coming for Sunday dinner." Of course she did. The weekly ritual where everyone pretended this arrangement was temporary. Where Dad asked about my promotion prospects and Mom refilled Megan's plate twice while murmuring about how thin she looked. "I have plans," I lied. "Whatever." Megan capped the polish. "Not like you have actual friends, Alex." The barb stung because it wasn't entirely untrue. Moving back after college to help care for Dad during his recovery had shrunk my social circle to work colleagues and childhood acquaintances who hadn't escaped our suburban Michigan town. I grabbed the mail I'd collected downstairs, thumbing through bills addressed to me. Every single one, rent, utilities, internet, all bearing my name while my sister contributed exactly nothing. "You're doing fine," Mom had insisted when she'd called 6 months ago. "Megan just needs a little time to get back on her feet after that awful breakup." That awful breakup had involved my sister cheating on her fiancé with his best friend, but apparently I was the villain for suggesting she face consequences. My tiny one-bedroom apartment wasn't meant for 2 people. The bathroom counter now cluttered with Megan's expensive creams and serums. The refrigerator stocked with her organic yogurts and kombucha that I wasn't allowed to touch. I paused at an envelope from First National Bank. It wasn't mine, it was addressed to Megan but had my address. Curious, since Megan claimed her mail still went to our parents' house. "This came for you," I said, holding it out. Megan's head snapped up, eyes widening. "Give me that." She lunged across the coffee table, nearly knocking over her polish. Something in her panic made me hesitate. I'd never seen my perpetually cool sister look so alarmed. "What's wrong?" "It's just from the bank." "Nothing." "God, you're so nosy." Her voice pitched higher than normal. "It's private. Just give it to me." I should have handed it over. Should have respected her privacy the way nobody respected mine when they decided my apartment was community property. Instead, I found myself pulling the envelope back. "Why are you getting bank mail here? You said all your accounts were still connected to Mom and Dad's address." "They are." Her face flushed. "It's probably just marketing stuff." "Then why do you care if I see it?" "Because it's mine." She made another grab but I stepped back. "No. Not until you tell me what's going on." Megan's expression shifted from panic to that familiar look of contempt. "This is why you'll always be alone, Alex. You're controlling and bitter. No wonder Mom and Dad worry about you." The words hit their target with precision. Megan had always known exactly where to plant the knife. I handed her the envelope, suddenly exhausted by the whole dynamic. "Whatever. I'm taking a shower. If there's any hot water left." I locked the bathroom door behind me, leaning against it. The tiny bathroom was the only space that felt truly mine anymore. Even my bedroom had Megan's overflow clothes draped across the reading chair I never got to use. The lukewarm shower did little to wash away my frustration. When I emerged, the apartment was quiet. Megan's purse and keys were gone, typical of her to disappear when confronted. I made myself a sad dinner of microwaved leftovers and settled at the kitchen counter to pay bills. The stack seemed higher this month. Rent increasing again. Utilities climbing with Megan's hour-long showers and habit of leaving every light on. My savings account, once growing steadily toward a down payment on a small house, had plateaued and begun its descent. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. "Megan says you're being difficult again." "She's trying her best, honey." I didn't respond. There was no point explaining that her best meant leaving dirty dishes in the sink and bringing home strange men who raided my refrigerator at 2 a.m. I was reorganizing bills when I noticed a crumpled piece of paper under the couch. The corner of an envelope peeked out, white with the distinctive First National logo. Megan must have opened it before storming out. I hesitated, moral compass spinning between privacy and self-preservation. The paper felt heavy in my hands. Official bank letterhead. I only meant to glance at it to confirm it was indeed just marketing material. But the words "foreclosure notice" in bold black letters stopped me cold. Final notice regarding property at 1429 Maple Street. My parents' address. My hands trembled as I continued reading. 3 missed mortgage payments. Foreclosure proceedings initiated. Options for repayment plans. The room tilted around me. My parents' house, the tidy colonial with the wraparound porch where we'd grown up, where Mom still planted geraniums every spring and Dad grilled burgers on summer evenings, was being foreclosed on? It made no sense. Dad's medical manufacturing company had always provided stability. Mom's part-time work at the library supplemented. They'd never mentioned financial troubles. I grabbed my phone, finger hovering over Mom's contact. But something stopped me. The letter was addressed to Megan. Why would the bank contact my sister about our parents' mortgage? Unless... I searched through the remaining papers scattered on the floor. Another envelope contained bank statements. Joint account, Robert, Carol, and Megan Thompson. My sister's name was on their mortgage. Hands shaking, I scanned the transactions. Large withdrawals almost weekly. Always the same amount, $500. Sometimes twice in a week. Going back months. Thousands upon thousands of dollars disappearing. Then I saw it, a transfer to Lucky Star Casino. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. Megan's mysterious job interviews that never materialized. The designer clothes she couldn't possibly afford. Her constant need for loans from our parents. My sister had a gambling addiction. And she was bleeding our parents dry. I sank onto the couch, the evidence spread across my lap. How long had this been happening? Did my parents know their house was in foreclosure? Or had Megan been intercepting these notices too? The front door opened and Megan sailed in, cheeks flushed with what I now recognized wasn't just her typical bravado. You went through my things? Her voice was dangerous as she spotted the papers. The bank is foreclosing on Mom and Dad's house. My voice sounded far away. Why is your name on their mortgage, Megan? She froze, mascara-rimmed eyes darting between me and the documents. It's not what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like you've been stealing from our parents to fund your gambling addiction while they cover for you. I'm handling it, she snapped, snatching the papers from my hands. This is none of your business. None of my business? My voice rose. They're my parents too. And you've been living rent-free in MY apartment while apparently gambling away their house. You don't understand, Megan's voice cracked. I had a system. I was going to win it all back. A system? I laughed, the sound hollow. Is that what you tell yourself while you're destroying everything around you? She crumpled onto the armchair, suddenly looking small. I didn't mean for it to get this bad. How long, Megan? How long has this been going on? She stared at her coral toenails. It started after Jason. Just small stuff, you know? Online poker. Then I found this casino and... She swallowed. I was down pretty bad. Mom and Dad helped the first time. And the second? And the third. I couldn't keep the disgust from my voice. They added you to their mortgage so you could what? Take out equity to gamble with? End of part 8. They wanted to help me. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Dad said it was temporary. Just until I got back on my feet. That was 2 years ago, Megan. And now they're losing their house. I stood up, pacing the small living room. Do they even know about the foreclosure? She looked away, which was answer enough. Oh my God. I ran hands through my hair. You've been hiding the notices. I was trying to fix it, she shouted. I had a big win last month. Paid back some of it. Clearly not enough. I gestured to the papers. Final notice, Megan. Final. They're about to lose everything. Why do you think I moved in with you? Her voice broke. Mom said you wouldn't mind helping out. That you were doing well. I was trying to save money to pay them back. By spending every cent on yourself and contributing nothing here? The unfairness of it all crashed over me. While I've been draining my savings to support you? Megan's face crumpled. For the first time in years, I saw my sister without her carefully constructed mask of confidence. Just a frightened woman drowning in consequences she couldn't outrun. "I'm sick, Alex," she whispered. "I've tried to stop. I delete the apps but then I just download them again. I block the casino's number, but then I just drive there instead." Part of me wanted to comfort her. The bigger part remembered the foreclosure notice. Our parents, in their 60s, facing homelessness because of her addiction, and they're enabling. "We need to tell them," I said finally. "Tonight. All of this stops now." "They'll hate me," Megan sobbed. "They won't. But they need to know how bad it is before they lose everything." I picked up my phone. "I'm calling them." "Wait." Panic flashed across her face. "Let me get cleaned up. We should tell them in person." I hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. But we're going right now. And you're telling them everything." The drive to our childhood home was silent. Megan stared out the passenger window, occasionally wiping tears. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened. The familiar house looked the same as always, porch light welcoming, Mom's wind chimes tinkling softly. How many more days would they have here? Mom opened the door before we knocked, surprise lighting her face. "What are you two doing here on a Wednesday? Is everything okay?" Dad appeared behind her, reading glasses perched on his nose. Come in. We were just having some tea." The normalcy of it all, Mom in her gardening sweatshirt, Dad's crossword puzzle abandoned on the coffee table, made what we had to tell them even more devastating. They sat side by side on the sofa, confused expressions matching as Megan and I took the chairs across from them. "Mom, Dad," I started, then looked at Megan. "This is your truth to tell." My sister took a shuddering breath, hands trembling. "I have a problem," she whispered. "A gambling problem." The confession poured out of her in a torrent of tears and broken explanations. The initial loans she'd asked for. The second mortgage they'd taken out to help her. How she'd volunteered to handle their bills and banking when Dad had his heart surgery last year. How she'd diverted mortgage payments to feed her addiction, believing each time that the next bet would solve everything. I watched my parents' faces transition from confusion to shock to a devastation so profound it hurt to witness. "But the payment confirmations," Dad said, voice hollow. "You showed us receipts." "I faked them," Megan admitted, staring at the carpet. "I've been intercepting the real notices." Mom pressed a hand to her mouth. "The house. Our house." I reached for the foreclosure notice in my pocket, but couldn't bring myself to hand it over. 3 months behind," I said softly. "The bank is starting foreclosure proceedings." Dad's shoulders slumped. Decades of hard work, his retirement security, vanishing before his eyes. "How much?" he asked. "How much to stop it?" The number Megan whispered made Mom gasp. "We don't have that," Dad said, voice breaking. "Not after the medical bills last year." I thought of my savings account. The down payment fund I'd been nurturing for years. Not enough to cover everything, but maybe enough to stop the immediate crisis. "I can help," I said quietly. "I have some savings." Megan's head snapped up. "Alex, no. This is my mistake." "It's all of our problem now," I replied. The anger was still there, but seeing my parents' devastation had shifted something inside me. "We're family." Dad shook his head firmly. "Absolutely not. You've worked too hard, Alex. This isn't your burden to bear." Mom wiped tears with the back of her hand. "What we need is a plan. All of us together." She turned to Megan with a steadiness I hadn't expected. "But first you need help, sweetheart. Real help. This stops today." For once, my sister didn't argue. "I know," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." The next few hours passed in a blur of painful revelations and practical decisions. Dad called his financial advisor, who agreed to an emergency meeting the next morning. Mom found the hidden stack of overdue notices Megan had been collecting. The picture was even worse than we'd initially thought. Beyond the mortgage, credit cards had been maxed out. A personal loan was in collections. Dad's retirement account had been partially liquidated, with penalties. Through it all, Megan sat small and silent, answering questions in a hollow voice. As midnight approached, Mom made up the guest room for us. "Stay tonight," she insisted. "It's too late to drive back." Lying in my childhood bed, listening to Megan's muffled sobs through the wall that had separated our rooms for 18 years, I stared at the ceiling. The glow-in-the-dark stars Dad had stuck there when I was 9 still faintly glowed. My phone lit up with a text. From Dad, "Come downstairs if you're awake." I found him at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of tea. "I've failed you both," he said without preamble, voice rough with emotion. "Dad, no." "Yes." He held up a hand. "Your mother and I, we thought we were helping her. Every time she came to us in trouble, we bailed her out. No consequences, no real demands that she get help." He looked down at his weathered hands. "We enabled this, Alex." I sat beside him, the familiar kitchen suddenly feeling like a museum of what we might lose. "You were trying to help. While neglecting you." His eyes, so like my own, met mine with regret. "We've taken you for granted. Expected you to be the strong one, the responsible one. Pushed Megan on you without even asking." The validation of what I'd felt for months, years, really loosened something tight in my chest. "We've always leaned on you because you can handle things," he continued. "But that wasn't fair." "I want to help," I said, meaning it despite everything. "But things have to change." Dad nodded solemnly. "They will. Starting tomorrow." Morning brought clarity and a kitchen table covered with financial documents. Dad's advisor arrived early, face grim as he reviewed the damage. "We have options," he said finally. "None of them easy, but better than foreclosure. A restructured payment plan. Selling Dad's cherished boat. Mom picking up more hours at the library. A strict budget that would stretch them thin for years. And for Megan, a Gamblers Anonymous meeting that evening, followed by an intake appointment at a treatment center specializing in addiction. "I want to contribute," she said, voice small but determined. "I'll get a real job. Any job." "You'll focus on treatment first," Mom said firmly, a new steeliness in her voice. "Then work." I took a deep breath. "I have a proposition." All eyes turned to me. "My company is opening a branch in Cincinnati. They've offered me a transfer with a promotion." I'd been sitting on the news for weeks, unsure whether to accept. It would mean a significant raise. "That's wonderful, honey," Mom said, but her eyes revealed her worry about what this meant for their situation. "I'll take it on one condition," I continued. "Megan comes with me." My sister's head snapped up in surprise. "Cincinnati has one of the best addiction treatment programs in the Midwest," I explained. "I've already checked. And there's a community college there where Megan could finish her degree once she's stable." "Alex, you don't have to," Megan began. "I'm not doing this just for you," I cut her off. "This promotion is a big opportunity for me. But I have conditions." I turned to face her directly. "No more enabling. You get treatment. You take classes. You get a part-time job and contribute to expenses. Real accountability." Dad leaned forward. "And the house. Our debt." "I'll help with the immediate crisis to stop the foreclosure," I said. "But as a loan, not a gift. Megan will repay me and you both over time." For the first time in years, I saw something like respect in my sister's eyes. 3 months later, I unlocked the door to my new Cincinnati apartment. Larger than my old place, with an actual spare bedroom where Megan now lived. "I'm home," I called out. "Brought dinner." Megan emerged from her room, textbooks spread across her bed. 60 days sober, her face had lost the perpetual flush of anxiety. Her eyes, clear and focused, met mine without flinching. "How was the meeting?" I asked, setting down takeout containers. "Good. Hard but good." She gathered her hair into a ponytail. "I got my 1-month chip." I smiled, genuine pride warming my chest. "That's great, Meg." She gestured to the textbooks. "Accounting exam tomorrow. If I pass, I can apply for that bookkeeping internship." We ate at the small dining table talking about ordinary things. Her classes. My new project at work. The community garden we discovered down the street. After dinner, she handed me an envelope. It's not much, she said. But it's a start. Inside was a money order for $300, her first payment toward the debt. The program counselor helped me create a repayment plan, she explained, nervousness threading her voice. I can increase the amount once I get the internship. It'll take years, but I'll pay back everything. I nodded, tucking the money order into my wallet. I know you will. She looked down, pushing food around her plate. I never thanked you properly. For not giving up on me when you had every right to. The sister sitting across from me was both familiar and new. The sharp edges of her personality softened by humility, the defensive armor cracked enough to let authenticity shine through. That's what family does, I said simply. No, it's what good family does, she corrected. What you did. Not what I did or even what Mom and Dad did as much as they love us. She met my eyes directly. You were the only one who didn't enable me. Who set boundaries. Who told me the truth even when it hurt. I swallowed against unexpected emotion. You're doing the hard work, Meg. That's all on you. Later that evening we video called our parents. Dad looked years younger without the weight of financial ruin on his shoulders. Mom showed us her newly planted garden, voice animated as she described her expanded hours at the library. The house appraised higher than expected, Dad reported. Once we sell the boat and that parcel of land, we should be clear of the worst debt by Christmas. And we've been attending the family support group at the community center, Mom added. Learning about codependency and enabling behaviors. She looked straight at Megan. We're all healing together, sweetheart. After the call, Megan and I sat on the balcony of our new apartment, watching the Cincinnati skyline illuminate against the darkening sky. Do you think we'll ever go back to how it was before? She asked quietly. The four of us, I mean. I considered this, thinking of the complicated love that had both damaged and saved our family. No, I answered honestly. But maybe we can build something better. 6 months to the day after finding that bank letter, I stood in the doorway of Megan's room. Her space was neat now, textbooks organized on the desk where she studied diligently each evening after her part-time job and before her tri-weekly support meetings. On her wall hung a calendar marked with milestone dates. 6 months sober. First day in accounting. Dad's upcoming visit. Mom's birthday. And circled in red, the day she would make the final payment on her portion of the debt that had nearly destroyed our family. That date was years in the future, a marathon, not a sprint. But the path there was marked with smaller goals, achievable steps, and a commitment that grew stronger each day. Ready for dinner? Megan appeared beside me, keys in hand. My treat tonight. I got a small bonus at work. As we walked to her favorite neighborhood restaurant, I realized the weight I'd carried for so long had lightened. Not gone completely, family burdens are rarely so easily shed, but transformed into something I could carry without resentment. The letter that changed everything had revealed our worst truths, but also our capacity to rebuild from the ruins.